Okay, hello everyone. This is episode 7 of Backpacks and Stories. I am here today with Marc.
Hello everyone. Hello Ben.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming and visiting me.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the dinner.
But this is a real pleasure. I haven't seen you in a year and a half, and to do the first episode in person with you, it's really cool. So thank you.
A year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah.
Wow. Time flies.
The last time was in Chile, in Santiago.
That's a long while, though. I don't remember that was that long.
I told you, time's flying.
It is.
It
is.
in the moment it feels like everything's normal. We're just living our lives, doing our thing, and especially now we're both here in Canada working. It's going by quickly, man.
It is. That's Santiago. Yeah.
Santiago de Chile. Yesterday I just saw the booklet from the place that we went to, the temple.
The temple.
Yeah, you remember the temple on the hill?
The temple on the hill.
You remember when we took the buses?
Yeah. To the city.
No, when we went, yeah, but like to the bit. I don't even know. I don't remember where it was, but we had to take a bus, and then we walked up that hill. We tried to do the hitchhiking.
Yeah. And where did you see this booklet?
It's over there. I have it.
Oh, wow. What a trip coming back from the city. I just was talking to my parents and explaining them that we felt this earthquake and we thought it was the underground. Remember that?
Yeah, because it's things that we're not used to.
Not at all.
But for them, it's nothing.
Crazy.
Would you like to start off by introducing yourself?
Yeah, of course. Why not? I don't really know how to do it, but
you've done it 1,000 times.
Yeah, but not in a serious program. Do I look to the camera?
Yeah, I think so. That was a good time.
So, hello, I'm Marc. I'm from Barcelona. I always say that instead of saying from Spain, so I don't need to argue about if I'm Catalan or Spanish. I'm 36 years old. I'm basically a traveler. I'm on a working holiday visa now, and I've been in this alternative life for a few years. And that's me, just someone who was born and raised in Barcelona and now living in the world.
Very nice. Nice introduction. So when we really met the first time, it wasn't the first time that we'd actually crossed paths, which was something really cool. The fact that we'd crossed paths at least 2 times, being in the same place. The first time being in the hostel in Ely, and then the second time being on the same airplane from Singapore to Athens, leaving Australia at exactly the same time. And the fact that we crossed paths those 2 times, and we didn't meet properly until our mutual friend introduced us.
That's something crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about life and finding out these kind of things.
Yeah.
That being in the same place. Australia is huge.
Mm-hmm.
The world is huge. And we shared, I don't know how many planes there are per day. And we were sharing the same one. That's so crazy. And then we ended up properly meeting each other in Brazil.
Yeah.
So from one side of the world to the other side of the world.
Yeah. It's wild. But a comment that you made earlier made me put some more sense to that, being that we are both people who booked the cheapest plane ticket.
Yeah, like I'm the cheapest hostel. Yeah, you wouldn't find me in the most expensive accommodations or in the most expensive anything unless I get a free ticket for some reasons.
Exactly. No, there's no point. We need to get from A to B,
And we are not rich, so that makes more sense. I think we both like to have experiences, and we worth that more than comfort.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why we go for this cheapest options most of the time.
100%. And I mean, at the end of the day, a flight is a flight. You're talking about something. I don't know. It was like 8 hours from Singapore to Athens. I can sacrifice a night of shitty sleep to just get from there to there. I don't need to do anything.
The thing is, I don't I don't see a big difference between the cheapest airline and a better one on a economy seat.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get a really big difference, it's not probably in a business class,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big big gap. The money that you pay from one kind of ticket and the other one. So flying in the cheapest airline economy seat and in another one economy seat, it's not the same, because sometimes you don't even have a TV and the flight is 8 hours. But obviously, you can go on your phone, your iPad, your wherever, and still sit in a place where you can put your legs like that and not move too much and get to the other place.
I think that is the worst feeling. I don't know if you feel the same, but it's my knees. My knees. If I have to sit like that, we're not particularly tall people, but it's still just. But again, it's something you get over the next day or 2 days later. It's okay.
And I think we've been into quite a lot of the cheapest flights and long ones.
Do you know how many flights you've taken in your life?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
If you had to guess.
I would kind of do maybe an average of per year, something like that, because until I was 25, I didn't catch that many planes.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe, I don't know, I guess maybe 20. Okay, until I was 25. And then after that, I was working in India for a while, and I was go back and forth quite often, so that add some of them on the list. And after that, I was traveling quite a lot. So I don't know, maybe let's say in this 1 year in India, 20 more. So let's go for 40, and then
you flew 20 times when you were in.
Well, like 10 times going back in total, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I went to Houston as well, and let's say so 20, 40, and then like I don't know, 35. Yeah, less than 100, but not far from that.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Nice. I sometimes I count and I think I'm not too many for me, maybe 35, 40.
Well, not too many. Like you are way younger than me, so
maybe I'll be there by the time I'm your age.
I think you will overtake me. Yeah, most likely. You like Latin America a lot, so one day one of my uncles made a comment that made me laugh quite a lot.
Yeah,
and he said like I catch more planes that I do buses.
You catch more planes than buses.
And it's true.
Yeah,
I don't like buses.
Really?
I don't like buses. So when I'm in a big city, I avoid buses. I just catch the metro underground or walk.
Yeah,
I avoid buses as much as I can. So in my life, I think I've been in more buses than planes, but it's not a big gap. There's not a big gap.
But when you were traveling, for example, in Brazil, you were taking buses in Brazil.
Yeah, I took some buses in Brazil. Yeah, but yeah, I was living in Brazil. So when I was living, I didn't travel that much. And then when I was traveling, when we met, I took maybe like not that many, maybe six buses, something like that, and a couple of maybe like 4 planes. So it's not a big difference.
So let's start off about your first time leaving Spain and living abroad.
My first time,
Barcelona.
Yeah, thank you. Just make it easier. My first time I never remember. It was 2012. I was 24, and I went to France, to Lyon,
Mhm.
for study exchange.
Mhm.
That was my first time, and that was amazing. It wasn't the way I expected it, because by that time I was a party guy, and I what you hear always when you talk about Erasmus is like it's party, party, party,
Mhm.
and not much going to uni.
Yeah.
In my case, it wasn't like that, sadly, because I wanted the topic, like the classic comments of Erasmus. That's what I was expecting, and that's what I was looking for. But my mark at uni was so low
Mhm.
that I couldn't really choose the place where I wanted to go. Actually, they gave me 7 options. I chose 7 options, and I couldn't go to any of them
Really?
because my because like the way it works is that the guy who has the better mark choose the first,
Mhm.
and then the next one, the next one. So for these 7 options, someone with a better mark than me chose that option,
Yeah.
so I couldn't go to any of these places. So I was scared because I was thinking maybe then I cannot go on an Erasmus trip.
Mhm.
But luckily, they gave me the option to choose 7 more
Okay.
destinations. Okay, and then when I chose these 7 more destinations, only the last three or four were France, because I didn't want to go to France. I didn't. I didn't know any French,
Yeah.
and I wasn't interested into learning French. So I couldn't see the point of going to France. And at the same time, Barcelona is 2 hours, 2.5 hours drive from France.
From Lyon,
From not from Lyon, from
the
France, from the
border.
border. And I was going to live abroad for the first time. And if I go like 2 hours drive, it's like almost like if I'm living in the next
In
town.
Valencia.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to go far,
Yeah.
and that's why I just left the last options, because I couldn't see any. There weren't more countries. It was just France left,
Mhm.
and I ended up getting one of those 4 last options.
I was about to ask you, was there any reason you chose France? But now I now I understand. It was
Yeah,
just.
because I wasn't accepted in any other destination.
But I want to add that wasn't necessarily to any fault of your own. You've explained to me before that the Spanish education system for engineering has a very bad reputation, right?
Not reputation. The thing is, the Spanish educational system, under my point of view, is not well orientated. The
Mm-hmm.
way it is designed. I have some friends that are teachers nowadays, and they say it's kind of changing a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that is going to tell you what is the right thing to do. I don't even know which is the right thing to teach people. But I'm just telling you my experience, and I don't feel I learned much. Even in school, I have the feeling that the only real things that I learned in the school was reading and writing, which obviously are pretty important, and then a little bit of maths and not much more.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I learned how to, like, what's authority, what's your teacher, do you have to listen to and you have to obey, and how to be in a social place with more people, a community, and blah blah, blah, all these soft skills of
Mm-hmm.
life. But I don't have the feeling that I learned many life practical things.
Yeah.
Like, I think would be interesting to learn how to handle money, how to do basic car stuff, because almost everybody has a car. How to read the, I don't know, the payslip.
Yeah.
Some practical things that you will have to face in life. And if we are in school, where we are growing, we should be learning practical things more than some more theoretical.
Textbook knowledge.
Yeah, which I don't, I'm not saying we shouldn't learn some of that, but I think we have a big lack of the practical ones
Hmm.
in the school and in the university.
Yeah, I
That's my point of view.
I mean, I think that I would also agree with you in terms of the primary and secondary education in the UK. It's missing a lot of those things, real life skills. I can't talk for university because I never went. I don't have that experience. But definitely in school, there are things that we should be learning at a younger age, which aren't given attention to.
I think there's many that could learn. And when you go to well, when I went to university, I think I did it because I was raised with the idea of the, the book, the rich dad and the poor dad, with
Hmm.
the poor dad, the way that you have to follow, just go to school, then go to university, then get a job, and then retire, and that's your life. And I went to university because I had to,
Hmm.
not because I wanted to, or not because I would like to learn about this, just because I had the feeling that after school you just go to university. That's what
Hmm.
you do, and that's what I had to do. And I didn't go to university to learn. So I also take a little bit on my side that the education maybe it's a little bit better than what I think,
Okay.
but you need to want to learn.
Yeah.
If you just go there and pass the exams, you can manage to pass the exams and learning basically nothing.
Yeah. That is exactly what we were talking about just before about the languages specifically, but it does carry through to the rest of life, you know?
Yeah, but languages, if you're able to communicate and you weren't before, you've learned something.
Yeah.
You can pass an exam that says that you know more than what you actually know, but obviously, if you can communicate in language that you couldn't before, you've learned something. But I went to university to study engineering, and I passed all the exams, some of them after the fourth time, but I ended up passing them. So that means theoretically that I know about this subject,
Yeah.
but actually I don't know anything. Nothing.
Even now you feel that way.
Well, now it's even worse because I haven't worked as an engineer for a while. So now obviously I've forgotten whatever I could have learned, but which was mainly just theoretical stuff, not
Hmm.
practical.
Yeah.
And I wasn't interested. And the education is not designed to make you really learn. So all this combination made me. And luckily, I went to France for an Erasmus. That's probably the best part of uni. This and my friends. That's
Hmm.
the two good things that I could see on being in a university life for 7 years. Because I was supposed to the uni when I went to it. If I wanted to get the degree, it was supposed to be 5 years,
Hmm.
but I ended up doing it in 7 years because of, it's not the engineering have bad reputation in Spain, is that a little bit the opposite. Like they have good reputation. If you are an engineer, you're supposed to be someone very smart because what they teach you in the classes in the classroom is not exactly what you will face in the exam.
Hmm.
The theory says that they teach you like enough to see if in the exam you can go a little bit farther and then prove that you're smart. And
Hmm.
that's why they say the engineers in Spain, they have to be smart because they manage to go a little bit farther on their own.
Yeah.
But in my case, I was doing like extra classes to have someone explaining me this extra part,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I don't know. I just didn't like it. Uni wasn't the best time of my life, but I kind of compensated through my friends and the experience abroad.
Yeah,
Can I ask you something now?
yeah, go for it.
And do you have the feeling that at some point you would like to go to uni?
Yeah, I would like to. Well, okay, I was very quick to answer that, and I feel like because it's a big yes and no. It's a big yes and no because I feel like I have so many interests in my life, so many things that I'm interested in, just even a little bit, maybe, but those things are a small part of a big subject that I want to understand more. And I would love to call myself in a professional in some of those things. Like, I do think I have a lot of passions, but very varied and very, things that have nothing to do with each other. So I feel sometimes that's very overwhelming. My dad, for example, he took an open university course. You know what the open university is?
Like online?
Yeah, but the point of it more than anything is you have the option to choose whatever modules you want.
Oh, I see.
So you could take a module of, I don't know, genetics. You could take a module of German. You could take a module of Egyptian history.
Wow.
So that's an option, but I think I also think about university in terms of probably more than anything about immigration purposes.
Hmm.
You know, I don't feel comfortable in living in the UK, so I know I have to find my new home eventually, and that a route to that could be by studying and following a career, and I know that's a possibility in my future. I also see the idea of discipline. I think I'm very, with my studies, I've always taken it way too easy. When in my primary school and for the first 5 years of my secondary school, school was very easy for me. And I think I just, at one point, I got complacent, and because I never really had to study so much, I was always doing my homework in break time just before the lesson. I got away with so many times of not doing my homework at all. And that caught up to me in the end, you know? So I feel like going to university means that it would be I have to commit myself to doing it. I have to commit myself to learning, and that could be good for my discipline. But then I have other things to think about, like, the financial commitment. I don't agree with private university. So I don't want to be, I don't really want to contribute to that system because it's not something that I agree with. And I feel like if I go, I'm a hypocrite because it's not something I believe in. But I also understand that potentially, if I, having not achieved good things in my secondary school, then I don't have, then it might be complicated for me to get in, or I have to do some further studies beforehand. I don't know. I haven't looked into going to uni so much, but those things are going around in my head. There's also the thought of having to stay in one place for 3 or 4 years. This kind of scary, but so it's a possibility, but I'm not sure.
Well, you will figure it out. I have the feeling that people who go to university when they are older, they they go because they actually want to go.
Hmm.
So they would probably use it better than what I did. Learn more and get some more juice out of it. So I think it's good for you that you haven't been there yet, and if you actually decide to do it, I hope it's not just because you want a visa and then you have to to study, and that's it. I hope because you do it because you actually want to do it and you want to learn about something and develop a career, and then could be an interesting thing. But I'm not going back to uni. I can tell you.
No, but again, now we've come full circle, and that's what you were saying. You have to want to learn. And I know if I had chosen what had thought about studying before, then of course it was something that I was interested in. I think economics has always been around in my head. Even now, I still think about maybe that's what I will study. But I feel like if I went to university as an 18-year-old and tried to study economics, it just wouldn't have happened because I not because I didn't want to learn about economics, but because I didn't want to be stuck in the education system, and I wasn't ready for that, you know.
That's maybe what happened to me, but I did what I was supposed to do. And as I said before, you can always get the good side of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, my friends, the Erasmus, and also like the life I was living when I was at uni. Like I was playing futsal in a team. That was such a great experience. And all the weekends I was having so much fun. So for this part, I'm happy, but I wouldn't have invested 7 years in that. But anyway, so the first time I went to out from Spain was France, Erasmus, and after being so complicated to find out where I was going,
Mm-hmm.
now that I did that experience, I'm so grateful that I went to France because again I met very good friends and I learned French, which I wasn't expecting to do.
You you before going to France, you hadn't intended on learning French,
No,
really?
no, why? The French is spoken in France and some,
A lot of Africa,
not a lot.
yeah.
Well, some countries in Africa, and I don't know. It wasn't a language that I was. My English wasn't good, so obviously I had to speak English before than any other language. And I wasn't planning to move to France or to any other countries where they speak French. Now maybe I wouldn't mind to go to live in some places where they speak French, but I'm in Canada now, but I'm on the other coast, so I'm not using it at all.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't think of learning French before going to this student exchange. And actually, when I found out that I was going to France, I did a couple of months of lessons. But
Mm-hmm.
I arrived there and I knew how to say hello, how are you, and not much more. That was tough.
And you stayed a year and a half in France?
No, 13 months. So
Okay.
basically 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was 6 months at uni studying, and then I had to do a 6 month internship
Mm-hmm.
because that's the way engineering works in France. The last year you do have in the school have you do an internship, which was amazing because this internship I used it to do my final thesis
Mm-hmm.
in Spain. It was to say like I could use it for both, and that was great because I was earning I was earning more money than some of my friends that had already finished the degree and they were actually working as engineers in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting more money doing my internship in France.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And and I had a great boss. He was super nice. And the bad side is that when I was at uni, I was in Lyon City, and then for this internship, I moved to another very small city called Valence, which is 100 kilometers away from Lyon.
Okay.
And I didn't know anyone there. It's a very small place, and I couldn't have much social life there. But for the first 4 months, well, my friends were still in Lyon finishing the Erasmus year. I was going every weekend, catching the train and going back to Lyon to party. That was my life for 4 months when I wasn't in Lyon. I was in Valence, and then the last 2 months of my internship. I was so bored in Valence, but it's okay. It was the end.
You just had to fight it out, and you made it.
I had to. Well, the good thing is that those 2 months I just spoke French with French people, so I guess I improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when I was in France, I obviously had my Spanish friends, which I was speaking Spanish with them. But the funny thing is that I met the first day I went to the like students accommodation.
Mm-hmm.
I met 3 Brazilian guys, and they were my best friends for the whole stay. And they one of them spoke English, but the other two they didn't,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't speak Spanish, and I didn't speak Portuguese, so we had to speak in French, and it was
Due to a technical difficulty, we're coming back to the point.
so yeah. I was saying that with these Brazilian guys, I we were speaking French technically, but obviously they had their accent, I had my accent, and then French people couldn't understand us. But after so much time hanging out all together, I could perfectly understand them, and they could perfectly understand me, and we were saying that we were speaking international French, and that actually made me learn French.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I could feel a big difference when I started my internship, because then I was working in French and I was speaking to French people, and that's when my French got better.
Mm-hmm.
But it was I don't know. I think it's so funny that we could speak French between my friends and me, and then they French people couldn't understand us, although we were speaking French.
No, but at the end of the day, it's how you do it. You have to practice. You have to, like I was saying to you before, the way that you do things and you learn the languages that you've learned is you throw yourself into the deep end. You know.
That's for me. That's the best way. I was talking to my parents the other day and telling them that hopefully one day I'll have kids, and then I don't want I don't want to send them to extra lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me going to school was not the best time, and then going for extra English classes wouldn't help. It
Mm-hmm.
just I didn't like English, so it was like now I have to go and study more. Like school is done, and
Yeah.
still I have to study more, and that's not what I want to do with my kids. I just want to take them for a year to whatever country, the language that they speak, the language that I want them to learn, most likely English. And then in a year they will learn way better than going for 10 years to extra classes.
Yeah.
I started studying English when I was 9, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because by then that was the age to start in Spain.
It's quite late.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. Now they start when they are 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then I think I was 9 when I started.
Yeah.
And then I went to school until I was 18, and we had the regular lessons, English lessons, and but some years or some summers I was doing some extra English lessons. When I really learned English is when I went to India to work, and I had to work in English even though they have their Indian accent. But that's when I really improved my English. And
Did you come up with a little bit of an Indian accent?
yeah. No, I don't think so. I always keep my Spanish. I wish I had more an Aussie accent after 3 years in Australia,
More of
but
an Aussie accent.
no, I just have the Spanish accent.
I'm gonna go back to something you just said that about taking a child to live in different countries to learn the respective language. Do you think, for example, if you went and moved around every year, the child would be able to pick up and retain those languages, for example, of a period of 10 years?
No,
No?
no, I don't think so. I don't know it. But I don't think so. No. My experience, you have to practice the language to keep it. Like obviously, kids they are they learn way faster and
Yeah.
way better than adults do. But remembering it, I think you need to practice.
But for example, if they somehow hypothetically found themselves in an environment that in the next country they went to, they were able to continue practicing those languages, do you think it would be possible?
I think it will be possible to a certain limit. I think for 5, 6 languages, yes.
I feel like if you start early enough, it's possible. Because
For how many? For 10?
there are people who speak 15,
Yeah, yeah.
20,
That,
25 languages, you know?
yeah, but then, like, if you go to school when you are 3, maybe it's too early, no?
Maybe.
Because you don't really probably get to learn. I would say maybe after 6 in school, and you're gonna properly pick a language, maybe.
Yeah.
And
I think, yes, there is certain milestones in the brain development. And it's funny you say that because there's a guy that I met at work who he was born in Venezuela to an Italian family, and he moved here to Montreal at the age of 3, only speaking Spanish. And when he arrived, he had to learn, obviously French. The football team or something, the hockey team, they spoke in English there, and his family only spoke Italian. So he had to learn all 3 of those languages, and now he doesn't really speak any Spanish
because he didn't practice.
because he didn't practice.
But
But now he's married to an Argentinian.
oh,
But I guess they speak in English and French. And
okay.
I don't know, but yeah, it's really interesting how the brain progresses.
But here, I think it's a mix. No, like he was 3, so maybe he was a little bit too young. And
Mm-hmm.
but the most important thing is he didn't practice.
Yeah, but it's interesting that your mother tongue can leave you like that.
But his mother tongue, you would say, is Spanish? No, it's Italian because at home he was speaking Italian.
But he could only speak Spanish.
He could only speak
He
Spanish.
could only speak Spanish. Yeah.
He wasn't speaking Italian with his parents in Venezuela.
No,
And then they moved to here, and then they changed from Spanish to Italian.
because the rest of his family, they hadn't
Oh,
gone
I
to
see.
Venezuela. They'd come up here to Montreal.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think the, I'm pretty sure you can learn a lot of languages. I'm not sure. I don't know. Then I probably think it's too much because after, I don't know, maybe 14, you don't learn the same way. But obviously, if you're going to school, you have to learn the language.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in France at uni, I didn't know any French, and I was sitting there, and the professor was speaking, and I was sleeping. But I think you cannot do that when you are 16 in a small classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pay attention, and you will end up learning.
I think Marcelo told me that he had the same experience. He had to speak French to do the course.
So you have to, and then if you want to pass, you have to. And when you're younger, like when you are up to, I don't know the age, but I guess before 16, for sure, you will learn.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are able to practice all the languages, but I sometimes I say, okay, I should learn 7 languages so I can speak one of them every day of the week. But how do you practice them when you speak 10 languages? I mean, you can, I guess. Today you speak in the morning, you speak one language. In the afternoon, you speak the other one.
It would be
I don't know,
difficult.
but it would be like a very very interesting test. To get someone. Okay, you're gonna be the kid that's gonna be moving 1 year after year and to a different country with a different language, and then still keep in touch with
Yeah.
people. That would be super interesting.
I wonder if it's been done. We have to do some
I don't
research on it.
think so. I'm not gonna do the research. It's too complicated. But it's so interesting.
Okay, let's. I know obviously we missed a lot of what we talked about before. Let's go back to the part where you went to Brazil.
Brazil. I didn't go to the carnival first. I went to the World Cup though.
Yeah,
I landed I landed on the 1st of April, which is
2014.
2014, and the World Cup was starting end of May or June. I don't remember,
Hmm.
but like 2 months after I landed. The By the way, the 1st of April in Brazil is the day of the lie. I'm not sure if you call it that way, like where you say jokes,
Ah,
like false things.
April Fool's Day.
Is it the same in England?
Yeah,
Is it the
and
first of
the
April?
whole of the, yeah, April
Yeah.
Fool's Day.
No, in Spain it's not the 1st of April.
When is it?
In Spain, I think it's in. I'm not sure if it's the 28th of November or the 28th of. I think it's the 28th of November. I think in Spain. Yeah, are we the only
Such
ones
a,
that
I
we
think so.
different day? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why I was saying that,
But
but
in Brazil, it's the 1st of April.
it is.
Okay.
That the day I landed, and then they were making jokes like, "Are you sure you're coming here with a work visa? Or it's just a joke."
At the border.
No, no, not at the border. My coworkers. Imagine the guy. This looks
It's
like a fake
real.
work permit. And then I landed just before the World Cup, which I couldn't really enjoy because I didn't have friends
Yeah.
2 months after, so I couldn't really enjoy the World Cup. One Argentinian friend that I made when I was in France, he went to watch some of the matches, and I met him after a match that Argentina won. They were in Sao Paulo, and you can imagine all the Argentinians celebrating the victory, and all the Brazilians like not being happy about them celebrating it.
They play each other.
No, 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 no. But
Yeah, yeah. Just
even
in
though they
general.
even though
Just
they
in
play each
general.
other, Brazilians don't like when Argentinians
Hmm.
win, and vice versa. Yeah, the World Cup. I couldn't. If I'm a little bit sad that I didn't get there a little bit before, so I could have
Hmm.
met some people and maybe go to see like to the stadium for a match or something like that. But anyway, I arrived 2014. I arrived in Brazil as a to work there, and which is a totally different story when you go to study into
Hmm.
a place and when you go to work. When you go to study, you go to the university. In my case, I went to a not staff, student accommodation. So you live with the people that you study and you do everything together. With these Brazilian guys, I was like most of the time I was with them,
Yeah.
just doing whatever, playing sports, studying, partying, and we did everything together. When I arrived in Brazil, I went there for work, and people at work, they were super nice, but they had their lives, their partners, their kids, wherever. So I was going basically from home to work for a few months. I played futsal with them once per week, which was very nice with my workmates. And every now and then we went for a barbecue. We watched a couple of the World Cup matches all together,
Hmm.
and not the 7-1 against Germany. That one I watched it with another two friends that I made by then, and yeah, that was a big hit for the Brazilians. They weren't happy, but I felt the same thing when Barca lost 2-8 against Bayern Munich Germans as well. So
Was that this year?
no, no, that was years ago. But that was I felt what Brazilians felt that match.
Or what was it? Was it in this World Cup when Argentina lost to Saudi? Didn't Saudi beat Argentina like
No,
5?
but that wasn't that one. That was the one that Argentina won.
Sorry, in
That
2022.
was the last World Cup, I think. 2022, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny because Spain also lost their first match when they were world champions.
Hmm.
So apparently, when you lose your first match, you are more likely to win the whole championship. Anyway, so going to Brazil to work was a very big different experience from going to France to study. When you go to work, people have their own lives, and it's not that easy to make like real friends. When I arrived there, I managed to find out one of the which guy from my university went to Brazil for a study exchange, because my idea was, okay, I had so much fun in France being a student, so I need to meet the student that came to Brazil, and then I can add to their life and have so much fun again. That was my thinking. And then after texting that guy, he invited me for a barbecue. That was a very weird feeling that I had that day, because they had their group, they knew each other for maybe 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was there as an outsider, and I didn't really feel comfortable. They didn't do anything bad or wrong or anything, but I just didn't feel that I was part of this group.
Yeah.
So sadly, my idea didn't work out that time, because I don't even remember how. After like 2 months later, the new group of students that just arrived in that city where I was,
Yeah.
Campinas, 1.5 hours drive from Sao Paulo. That's where I was working, and that they have a very big university campus. And I don't even know how I met this Spanish guy that went to study in this university for the student exchange. And then I went to his house. He wasn't there. Someone else opened the door for me. Just said, "Yeah, wait here. Just sit here, wait for him." It was so random. The guy came, and I became a very very close friend with this guy. We are still in touch. He lives in Spain now, and it was just crazy, because at that point I started kind of living the student life on the weekends, and then during the week I was a regular worker. I don't remember the word you said before to define that.
A weekend warrior.
A weekend warrior. So I became a Brazilian weekend, a Spanish weekend warrior in Brazil. And thanks to that, I had a great experience in Brazil as well. Work wasn't the best, but I had so much fun, and I really liked the culture, the food, the people,
Yeah.
the country. So I had a very, very good time, even though I wasn't living on the beach, which is very sad, because when you think of Brazil,
The important part.
you think of the beach. You think of Rio de Janeiro, and I wasn't there.
And how long did it take you before you felt really comfortable speaking Portuguese?
Well, that's crazy. That's something I impressed myself, I have to say,
Yeah.
because as I told you before, in France I met those three Brazilian guys, and I was so annoyed because I had also my Spanish friends there, and when I was speaking Spanish with my Spanish friends, the Brazilian guys, they could understand like 90% of what we were talking about, and then when they were talking in Portuguese between them, I couldn't understand. Like I could understand maybe 15%, and I liked Brazilian music from before. I went to actually to Bolivia, is where I got that T-shirt, and I met a guy there, a Bolivian guy that liked Brazilian music. So from that time, I started to like Brazilian music.
Mm-hmm.
So with these guys there speaking Portuguese, and me liking the Brazilian music, I started to ask them some words that I couldn't understand in the songs, or something that they were talking about, trying to understand what they're saying. And slowly, slowly, I was picking up some words.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fiance of one of those guys moved to France. And then by then we could speak the international French, so we could understand each other very well. But this girl, she didn't speak Spanish, English, or French. She just spoke Portuguese.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I decided I would start talking Portuguese to her. So I just started.
Portuñol.
But it was Espanol directly. I was just speaking Spanish with an accent and just using the few words that I've learned talking to, like, asking them and from the songs. And that was like maybe for 6 months. And then after the 6 months, I couldn't speak Portuguese, but I was more used to I was more able to understand it.
Yeah.
And then when I finished my internship in France and they sent me to Brazil, it took like around 6 months to get my work permit. So during the 6 months that I was in Barcelona, I was watching every day, almost every day, one movie doubled in Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah.
But I wasn't speaking at all. I just was just listening.
And subtitles.
I think so, but I don't remember. But I think I was using the subtitles, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Because I could understand quite a lot by then. But watching, let's say, one movie per day for 6 months.
It's a lot.
But I wasn't speaking at all.
Yeah.
Because I was texting with my friends in French, but I wasn't texting with the fiance of my friend. So that would be a little bit weird. Brazilians are jealous. So. And then I arrived in Brazil. And the first day, so I landed and I was going for work. So a taxi came, picked me up, took me to the hotel. And then the day after, my boss there came to pick me up, took me to work. And then he started talking to me in English. And I was answering in English. And then I don't know how, like, I think he talked to someone else in Portuguese, and then I just answered something. And the guy was like, "Do you speak Portuguese?" Like, and I said a little bit, and the guy said, "Oh, awesome!" And then he stopped speaking English. And actually, I realized that I could speak Portuguese that I didn't even know. Yeah. Like, I could understand. I knew that I could understand.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that I could speak. I was like, okay, Marc, you can speak Portuguese? Wow. And obviously, after a year there, I improved a lot. But I landed there and I was able not only to understand, but to speak.
Wow.
And that helped me a lot, obviously, because I was working. I wasn't studying. I couldn't sleep while other people were working. I had to work as well.
I think that's particularly interesting because the thing for me about Brazilian Portuguese is like the sounds. I feel like the sounds,
yes,
and the fact that they came kind of naturally to you.
I have to say that I could speak, but obviously with an accent.
Yeah.
And I've improved quite a lot my accent.
Yeah.
But the hardest part was exactly what you said. The
Ow.
This one, if I made a sentence without this sound, they would ask me, "Oh, where are you from?" In Brazil. But as soon I was saying, "No, I'm not Brazilian," only with the "no," they would say, "Ah, yeah, you're not Brazilian." But if I didn't use this sound, they would think I'm Brazilian. Also because Brazil have many accents. It's huge.
But it just, I don't know, for me, it's such a small, peculiar sound that seems to be so difficult to really get.
I was trying so hard because I'm not gonna say that's the only way that they could pick I wasn't Brazilian. Obviously, there were some they could know, like if I was chatting with them for a while. But with this one particularly, I tried so hard because I knew that was my weakest point, and I couldn't make it.
But now you have it.
No.
Still no.
No, they if I say, well, now actually now my Portuguese doesn't sound as good as it did before.
Yeah, because you're not speaking all the time, you
Yeah.
know. Do you still are you still practicing? I take you still stay in touch with your Portuguese Brazilian friend.
Yes, but now it's been so long. They have kids, and it's I don't text them very often.
Hmm.
We still text every now and then, but not very often. I try to talk when I meet a Brazilian person. I try to speak in Portuguese, so I practice, but I'm not practicing often. So
Hmm.
obviously, I'm not my Brazil. I remember I was seeing a girl for a while in Brazil, and then I saw her after maybe six, I don't know, less than a year. Then I left Brazil, and she already told me like, "Oh, your Portuguese is not the same," because I wasn't. I
Just what
was
you want to hear.
no, no. I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear that. But by then I stopped speaking Portuguese every day, and then I moved to speaking English every day.
Yeah.
So obviously, I don't know. You keep the accent. You don't keep the accent. You try to move to the other language accent, I guess.
So yeah, this is a part that I don't quite remember exactly of your story. So after Brazil, you went back to Barcelona.
So when I was in Brazil, my best friends I met there were all Spanish. These two guys that were studying there, and then another Spanish guy that went to Brazil to open a factory.
Hmm.
So he went there to work, not to study. I met him through couchsurfing, and one day I went for a couchsurfing meeting, and then one of the girls there was going like that. I remember pretty good that because that was a Thursday, and I went a couchsurfing meeting, and she said, "Okay, tomorrow is Friday, and I'm going on a short trip, on a weekend trip, tomorrow Friday night till Sunday night with another Brazilian girl and one Spanish guy I met on the last week couchsurfing meeting." And she said, "You want to join?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." I didn't have any friends by then, and I didn't have anything to do on the weekend, so I
Yeah.
was more than happy to go explore and meet more people and do something different. And this Spanish guy became not just my friend, also my boss, because I ended up changing from the company I was working at the beginning,
Yeah.
from this Spanish company that this guy went to open this factory there. But after 6 months in this company, so it had been again I think 13 months because I was 7 months with the first company, and then 6 months with this other company. The economical crisis arrived in Brazil, so they shut down the factory. And this Spanish company, they had uh, one factory in Spain, one in France, one in Houston in the US, and then they were opening another one in India. And my boss, not my friend, like my friend was the big boss of the factory, and then there was a second level boss, and then it was me. So this guy told me, "Okay, I want you in India." And I told him, "Thank you, but I don't want to go to India." You told me you had factories in Spain, in France, in the US. You can send me to wherever. I don't care. I don't care, but not India. And the guy said, "Well, but we really need you in India." And she said, "Yeah, but I don't want to." So at the end, he said, "Okay, just go for 3 weeks." And I accepted 3 weeks. We were saying before, 2 years time just fly. Imagine 3 weeks. It's
Yeah.
just super short. Okay, I can do 3 weeks, no problem. And then I went to India after I arrived in India. I worked for 22 days in a row because the factory was outside of the main city,
Hmm.
and they booked a hotel close to the factory in the middle of nowhere. Like it was a road, and some, like, how do you call the favela houses?
Mm.
Is there a word for that?
Shanty towns.
Like slums.
Yeah, some.
Okay,
Yeah, some.
slum. But it wasn't a slum because it wasn't like a big amount of houses, but like shitty houses. Okay,
Yeah.
on the side of the road, and the hotel, which wasn't any better either. So all I could do in my free days, if I had a free day, would be just go out of the hotel, walk next to the road, like seeing all the shitty houses, and then when I'm tired, just walk back. So I was okay. There's a lot of work to do. Instead of just sitting in the hotel or walking for a while, just I go to work. I'm just gonna be here for 3 weeks.
Hmm.
And then after the 22nd day that I was supposed to fly back home, my boss said, "Do you mind staying for 3 more weeks?" And I was like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And at the beginning, I was about to quit the company and say, "No, sorry, just send me back home. I'm not working with you anymore." But something in me said that I don't know, I should just not give up that easily, you
Yeah.
know. And I decided to stay, but I said, okay, I will stay 3 more weeks, but I'm not gonna work today and tomorrow. I'm gonna get 2 days off, and you're gonna move me today to a hotel in the city, and then you drive me back and up every day from the city to the factory. I'm not gonna stay here any longer. So he accepted, and I went to the city, and it's India, which I don't really like.
Whereabouts in
But
India was this?
Pune, it's 3-4 hours drive from Mumbai,
Okay. In
inland.
the
Inland.
south.
It's kind of in the center,
Okay.
and yeah, it's just a big city with a lot of factories around, but nothing interesting to see. But I have to say that it was interesting to be in that city because there's a lot of expats there
Yeah.
because of a lot of factories around, foreign companies and all that. So I ended up having a good time. But again, as in Brazil, the beginning wasn't easy. You're going there to work,
Hmm.
and I was working. I was the only foreigner in the company.
Yeah.
In the company in Brazil, there were other foreigners, but the company was huge, so I didn't really get to know them.
Yeah.
Here, we were just starting the factory, so at the beginning, we didn't have any machines, we didn't have any employees. It was the boss and two guys that we just hired, and me, and then my boss coming every now and then. But so the beginning at work, I couldn't do anything with the people there. But then the boss in India, my boss in India, the director of the factory, he had worked for another Spanish companies. So he ended up putting me in touch, getting me in touch with another Spanish guy. Again, Spanish people. Through this guy, I ended up playing futsal once per week and meeting a big, not a big group, maybe like 10 people, 10 Spanish expats. Most of them were from the Basque country because I
Hmm.
don't know why the Basque country had a lot of companies there in that area in India. And I ended up having so much fun with these people.
Yeah.
But the beginning was so tough and just working a lot, and India. India was crazy. But yeah, so France, Brazil, and then India.
And in the end, you stayed for how long in India?
So this first trip, I think after the second time he extended 3 weeks. So he said 3 weeks, and then he extended for 3 more weeks. Then I flew back home. So I flew from India to Barcelona. I spent the weekend, I think, in Barcelona,
Hmm.
and then on the Monday I went to the Basque country because this company was also from the Basque country.
Yeah.
I arrived there and I spent 1 week there, and then the second week my boss, sorry, but I think we need you in India. But this time I will come with you. Okay, so this time my boss came with me. We went to India for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, he left, and I stayed. And I stayed for maybe like 2 months. He like delayed the flight back a couple of times, and then I went back to.
You're working every day, or you had the
No,
weekends off?
no, no. Since I moved to the city, I was having 1 day off per week for sure, because
Yeah.
in this area where the factory was, they were cutting the light every Thursday, I think it was. So
Okay.
on the Thursdays we couldn't work because there was no light. So all the Thursdays I had off, and then some weeks I had a second day off. Some I worked 6 days, some I worked 5 days,
Yeah.
depending on the week. But we had a lot of work, so I could have worked
Every day
endless.
if you wanted to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I was trying to rest a little bit mentally more than physically,
Hmm.
because I needed India stuff. But yeah, I ended up. I was flying up. Every time I was going to India, it was for 3 weeks. But then when I was there, could you please stay longer? There was one time that I was there for around 3 months,
Hmm.
and then we moved the flight ticket to the 22nd of December. And then my boss called me and says, "Can you please stay long?" No way! I'm not gonna spend Christmas in India. No way! And he was like, "Okay, okay," but he wanted me to spend Christmas in India. What the fuck? What the fuck? This guy! Oh my god! So after 3 months, I went back home. I spent Christmas at home, and obviously after that, after Christmas, I flew back to India
After New Year.
after New Year. After New Year, and then my passport was expiring, so I obviously went for 3 more weeks after after the new year. But this time I was so convinced that it was gonna be only 3 weeks, because my passport was expiring in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was sure,
They let you into India.
because my visa
Okay.
was for 1 year, uh, multiple entries,
Yeah.
and then by then my passport was valid for more than 1 year, for more than 6 months.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
But honestly, I went to the airport. I didn't know if I was gonna be able to fly into India, but I didn't care. I didn't want to be able to go, so I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But I was sure that I wouldn't be able to extend my stay, because 1 week after my flight ticket back, my passport was gonna expire.
Hmm.
But what happens then? When he calls me, obviously, to extend my stay, I tell him, "No, I'm sorry, I cannot extend it because my passport is expiring in 10 days." "Ah, don't worry, just go to Mumbai and extend it there." And I was like, "No way, you're kidding me!" I didn't see that one coming. And fucking hell, I had to do that.
Why didn't you tell him no in that moment?
I wasn't expecting that option. I was so convinced that there was no option for me to extend my stay. I didn't think about that. I was like, when he said that, when he came up with that idea, I was like, fuck, can I do that? I don't know what to answer now.
But I mean, throughout all of these times, if you you were between enjoying yourself with the environment that you were in, but also not really being where you wanted to be, why didn't you turn around and say no at some point?
One of the reasons, because I asked for more money after the second trip to India. I said, okay, like I know, I'm gonna come to India again,
Yeah.
and so you have to pay me more. So they agreed on increasing my salary. So that was one reason. The other reason, because I, what I said, I didn't want to give up that easily.
Hmm.
And the other reason, maybe because I wasn't brave enough. I don't know.
Do you feel like you couldn't say no?
I was feeling if I would say no, where would they put me?
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, probably I wasn't brave enough by then.
Mm. I don't. I understand what you're saying, but I don't necessarily see it as being brave enough. And I think it was something that I'd been thinking about earlier about you. I think that you're just a very you're a yes person. Like you take the opportunities that are in front of you, and I think it's a really good attitude that you have in life because you have so many opportunities because of it, and so many amazing experiences because of that.
Yes, but you said something really true that can be seen in a good way and also in a bad way.
Yeah.
Because I'm a really yes person, but also because I'm not a no person. Because for me, it's hard to say no.
Hmm.
On one side, saying yes or going accepting those challenges made me feel I live great experiences. But on the other side, also sometimes for me, well, many times for me, it's hard to say no
Hmm.
for many reasons. But like I like to help people, I don't like to be annoying or whatever. But sometimes I've done things that I didn't really want to do. Just okay, I don't want to say no. Okay, I'm gonna do that, whatever. But I ended up saying no at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it took me a while. And also, honestly, out of work, it got to a point that I was having fun.
Yeah.
On It was annoying because I couldn't play futsal every week because sometimes there was so much work that I couldn't make it on time, and
Hmm.
that would piss me off a lot because that was something. Yeah, I'm a sports person, and I really needed in that environment to do some
Yeah.
sports to distress. I really needed. So the week that I couldn't play futsal, I was like, that week I wasn't happy at all. But then on the weekend, I was just drinking so much that I was kind of forgetting this, I guess. I had a lot of fun out of work,
Hmm.
just partying, doing anything else because we could do didn't do anything else than party. I'm not sure if we could, but we didn't know what to do and it just play futsal and drink. That was what I did out of work, and it was fun. Honestly, it was a nice group of people. I met again two guys that were studying because this group were mainly expats that were working there,
Yeah.
but there were two guys from the Basque country that somehow because of the other guys were from the Basque country they got in touch,
Hmm.
and those guys were studying, and I become the closest with these two guys more than the other workers. I was closer to the two guys studying, and also I think one of the things that made me say no anymore at the end was because those guys weren't there anymore
Yeah.
because they spent maybe a good 6 months or 7 months there, and then after a few months without them I could feel that it wasn't the same. But yeah, I don't know, I just kept staying, and then at some point I was kind of over it, and but then they sent me for 2 months to the factory in Houston, and then I went back to India for 3 weeks, and then they sent me again for 2 months to Houston,
Yeah.
and then they sent me again to India. I spent there a couple of months, and these two guys weren't there anymore, and the group had changed a little bit because I was out for basically for 6 months more or
Yeah.
less, or 5 months. I was out of the city, and people keep rotating pretty fast. So my group of friends were most of them weren't there anymore. Work, I was tired. I was seeing a girl for a while, and then she wasn't there anymore either. And at the end, I was like, man, I cannot do this anymore. And then I was thinking, okay, I don't know if they're gonna find another job for me in the company or not, but I didn't have any mortgage. I didn't have any kids. I didn't have any life, any like economical boundaries.
burdens.
like limits, like
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that asked me for money and every month. I didn't have a rent because when I was going to the Basque Country, they were paying me a hotel. When I was going in Barcelona, I was staying at my parents' place.
yeah.
And in India, they were paying me for at the beginning a hotel. Then after they moved me into an apartment with the son of the director of the company. Some weird things, but I wasn't paying for anything. I was young. I at some point I said, "Look, I'm not going back to India.
Hmm.
If you want to put me in another place in the company, I'm more than happy to do that. If you want to fire me, I'm more than happy to to get out of this company, but I'm not coming back to India." So my boss sent me back to the Basque Country and made me go talk to the main boss,
Yeah.
like the big boss. And then we start the conversation, and the big boss starts telling me that they are about to open another factory in a different place in India. And I was like, "Well, I don't know what my boss told you, but I'm not going to India anywhere, not just to that factory. I'm going to India, to that country." So the guy said, "Oh, okay, okay, okay." And then they offered me a position in Spain, in the Basque Country.
Yeah.
And that was my next step. So I went from Barcelona to France, from France to India. I have to Brazil, from Brazil to India. I went 4 months to the US in the factory, but basically India. And then from there to the Basque Country. So it
Hmm.
was Spain, but it wasn't home.
Yeah.
It was in San Sebastian. I'm from Barcelona. It was a 7 hour train trip
Yeah.
because we do have some uh, fast trains in Spain, but they don't connect Barcelona and San Sebastian.
Hmm.
So it was a long train ride, but I was more than happy to do it every 2 weekends and go back home and spend time with my family and my friends, because for so long I didn't have the opportunity to spend time with my friends, my
Yeah.
family. So every two
This was the
weekends,
closest that you. you did.
7 hour trains was closed for me.
Okay, so I want to quickly delve into the Basque culture a little bit because we've had some conversations about it before. That you've told me before that Basque people are very reserved and they generally stay in their circles. So, do you feel like it was very different from Catalan culture?
Yes, it's different. I'm not sure if I would say very different, because India is very different. But it's different.
Yeah.
They, as you said, they are pretty closed. Like, they have a word, it's cuadrilla. That means the group of friends
Hmm.
that you make when you go to school and
Primary school.
primary school. And that's something sacred for them.
Yeah.
Which on one side I see it in a very romantic way, very, like, I think that's beautiful, that you get so attached to these people that you meet when you are so young, and you grow up together, and
Hmm.
you keep this connection for years and years. On the other side is, I have the feeling that you also kind of force yourself to be part of this group, even though you really don't want to be sometimes, I
Hmm.
guess. I mean, I guess I have my friends from school are not the ones that I was going together when I was 5.
Yeah.
It's more the ones I was together when I was 12, you know? And then these people, they just stuck in this group when they are kids, and they just do everything together always. And the only way to become part of a cuadrilla, not even being from someone out of the Basque Country, like, also if you are from the Basque Country but you were not going to school with these people,
Yeah.
it seems the only way to be added in this group is if you are the partner of someone of this group. Otherwise, you won't be able to be part of la cuadrilla.
And even then, it's difficult to find a partner because they generally. You told me they generally date within the cuadrillas, no?
That I think. I mean, I'm not an expert because I lived there for 1 year and I didn't get to know a lot of people from there. But now, for example, I have
I wonder why.
yeah. But now I have a friend. I have a friend from um, the Basque Country
Hmm.
here in Canada, and I talked about with him about all these things. And some of the quadrillas are pretty big, so then obviously they end up being one with each other, and then it's a mess when if they split up. And some others are just very small,
Hmm.
so obviously they have to look for
Out of
outsiders out of quadrilla people. But yeah, they are pretty close. Anyway, what I was telling you, I really like the Basque country culture.
Yeah.
It's different from the Catalan one, but we in Catalonia we are also quite close, I would say.
Hmm.
I have also my theory that when you go closer to the Ecuador, people is more open
Yeah.
and more because of I always say it's because of the sun. When people have sun, they go on the streets and they are
Yeah.
more social. When the country is cold, people stay more at home and they are more closed. So in Spain, the northern parts, Basque Country, Catalonia, we are more closed than the southern ones, the Andalusia,
Yeah.
where they are pretty open. So yeah, I would say we are not that different, but it's still different. They have this quadrilla thing, and yeah, it's I like it that they keep it that way, and it's so hard to go in. But if you somehow you manage to go in, they are friends forever,
Yeah.
you know, and they are super. I don't know if that's the right word or not, loyal, but I don't know. They are just when you get to be part of their group of friends, they are super nice people, and they have this thing which now is changing, but men used to have a place to spend time, just only men, and they used to cook and just play cards
Hmm.
and spend a lot of time together,
Like a man cave.
like a man cave,
Okay.
which is I find it so cool. But obviously, mm, it's sad because I don't think they had the same thing for women. And this man cave, they didn't accept women at all. Now, obviously, has changed.
Yeah.
But I think also I found also very interesting because in the Basque Country they were proud of the men cooking, which in the rest of Spain wouldn't be like that. You know, sadly, were misogynists and women were mainly cooking, and men
Hmm.
were like, no, we are not gonna do that. We work, you know. So that was also very interesting from years ago that men were like very good cooks there,
Yeah.
and I don't know, the food is amazing. It's so good, so tasty. They know how to have fun. Basically, drinking, they drink a lot. But once, if you make a Basque Country friend, you know that person will be a friend for like a real friend.
Hmm.
So I ended up through my friend from Brazil who got me into that company, who was from the Basque Country. So he kind of made me friends with a couple of friends in that same company,
Hmm.
two very nice guys, super nice guys. But obviously, they had their lives. One of them had kids. The other one, no, but had a partner, and he wasn't working there in the company anymore. So it wasn't that easy to see him. But I did some things with those guys, and then I ended up playing futsal again. And with these guys of the futsal, I ended up going to this Choco, to this place where they cook. And if you are not part of the quadrilla, it's so hard to get in. So I was so happy I finally got in. We were playing cards, typical moose, the typical game they play
Yeah.
there. And I have to say that I had a good time. But as I was missing so much my Barcelona life, I was going so often to Barcelona that I was for 1 year there, and most of the half of the weekends I was in Barcelona.
Yeah.
During the week I was working, so I had only like half of the weekends to enjoy there, and it took me a while until I got these friends from futsal, so I couldn't really live fully the culture.
Hmm.
But I have to say that it's a very interesting culture, and once you manage to get in, super nice.
Nice. I have to visit one day.
It's beautiful, but it rains a lot, so get
Yeah,
a raincoat with you.
but it's quite a big region, no?
Yeah, it is, but it rains.
As you were telling me all of this, I don't remember if I've ever asked you this question. Have you done El Camino?
I've done El Camino with one of my friends from childhood. This guy actually, I was I started I was in the same class with him since I was 4 years old, I think.
Oh well.
But I started hanging out more with him when I was 12, even though when I was 9, I was I was going to this artistic gymnastics.
Hmm.
We're doing practicing artistic gymnastics after school, and we're all together there, and we were friends, and we were like the school together and blah. But I would say after 12, we get closer. So with this guy, he has his both of his parents, the parents of his parents, so his grandparents from both sides are from Galicia, and that's where the Camino ends.
Yeah.
So one year we went from Pamplona, so which is next to the Basque Country, okay,
Okay.
and we went from there to Santiago, so 700 kilometers.
Hmm.
We did the Camino de Santiago for 700 kilometers, but we did it on a bicycle.
Okay.
So I would like to do part of it walking one day.
Yeah.
It's very different when you go on a bicycle. It was so quick, and sometimes we didn't go on the track. We went on the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically, I did part of the Camino Santiago.
Nice.
Very nice. It was very well. I'm still. I would say still. I'm not sure if the word is crazy, but I'm still a mess probably. So we didn't plan anything. We just got a bicycle and said, "Okay, let's go." And oh my god, the start of the trip was so funny because we saw this. There's this shell, yellow shell, that is the sign
Hmm.
of the Camino Santiago, and then we're following it. At some point, we arrived to a crossing. Like the road was ending, and then we could go left or right.
Yeah.
We go left. We start. We're pedaling, and then we see four guys going the other way, and we talk to each other like, where are those guys going? Like they look like they are doing the Camino Santiago, but they're going that way. And then like 30 seconds after, the guys call us, "Hey guys, are you doing the Camino?" And we were, "Yes." "Then you're doing the wrong way."
So it was where they'd come from,
Yeah.
where you were originally going.
So we were just so when we turned, we went to the left. We should
Yeah.
go to the right,
Ah. Okay.
and
Okay.
they were
Okay.
doing the Camino from farther. So
Oh.
that's why were they coming that way. But we just that was 5 minutes after we started. But we made it. We made it. That was the only time that we took the wrong way, just at the beginning.
And how old were you when you did this trip?
That was 2010 because it was a holy year, and it was in August.
Hmm.
So it's the time where you get a holy year is, I think, if I'm not wrong, is every 4 years, a holy year, or every 8 years, something like that. And in August.
Okay.
So that's the period where you get the most people doing the Camino de Santiago because it's a holy year and because it's August.
Yeah.
And we didn't plan anything. So every time we were arriving to a place, we were trying to find a spot to sleep in. It went to the point where a couple of times we had to sleep in the sports hall of the small town because they didn't have any more rooms. And for holy years that they are used, sometimes happens, they are ready to let you
Okay.
sleep there.
Yeah.
But we sleep twice in one of those. Once they gave us kind of these inflatable mattresses,
Hmm.
but the other one was just straight on the ground. And then they after get up and cycle for a long time. 2010. I was 22.
22. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of my crazy trips.
Yeah. Have you traveled apart from these trips that you've just mentioned? Have you traveled much in Spain? You've been to the south,
Yeah, I've been
the
to the south.
islands.
I have family from the south, but that live in the south. So I've been there, and I've been to the islands. I've done a little bit, but I remember when I went to France. I didn't travel that much by then, in general,
Yeah.
but not much in Spain either. And I remember going to France and talking to people, and people were asking me like, "Oh, about the Spain," and I couldn't answer anything. And I thought, yeah, I should travel more in
Yeah, yeah.
Spain. But honestly, I still have to do that. I still traveled more abroad than in Spain.
But I think it's so easy to put our own backyards on hold because we know well, it's our country. Whatever happens in the world, we know that we can travel. We can be there. So it's like yeah, we have other priorities. We have other places we want to see. You know.
I have the feeling that it's always gonna be there, so I don't need to go now. I can just go whenever.
Exactly. Not that
And
you're there very often.
not lately, not
Not
not for
lately.
not for the last few years. But yeah, I have to travel more Spain. I have to. I've been in quite a lot of places. Like we have provinces
Hmm.
there. I think we call that way. And I've been, I would say, most of them.
How many does Spain have?
Seven. I never remember. I think it's 19, including the two little ones that we have in North Africa.
Yeah.
That's political, silly stuff. I think it's 19, including those two ones.
Yeah.
I don't think I will go to those two ones at all.
The ones in North Africa.
It's just two small cities.
Hmm.
I don't think I will go there ever, but who knows? But yeah, I've
You
been.
told me never say never.
Yeah, true. But I think I think. I told you, I said now, I think. But never say never.
Never say never. Okay. Well, you have a long proceeding story after your time in San Sebastian, uh, going through Southeast Asia and then Australia, and then these past 2 years after Australia, which included going back to Australia.
I love Australia.
I think to finish off today, do you want to choose one of those to talk about?
How long do I have? Because then I can choose one or I can choose another one.
Let's go for like 10 to 15 minutes.
Then probably go to Southeast Asia, and then we keep the natural path of my life, and then we leave the next steps. Maybe
For the next time.
for
For
the
the
next
next
time.
time.
Maybe I have more stories to add to this extension.
The next podcast is going to be 3 hours long.
No, no, no.
I'm going to have a camera by then. We're not going to have any more technical difficulties.
That would be something to appreciate, because I was talking here for no reason for a while.
I don't even know how long.
It's okay. I enjoy time with you, so it's okay.
Always, man. Always a pleasure, never a chore.
So yeah, so okay, so keeping the track after San Sebastian, after the Basque Country. Actually, the end of it is I go for back home for Christmas,
Hmm.
and then two friends I was very close by that time. One of them was my friend from uni, and the other one was his best friend that he met kind of recently back then, in a job.
Hmm.
And the three of us, we were partying a lot every time I was going back to Barcelona. Okay. And so with these three guys, when I was there for Christmas, we were talking a couple of times about doing a world trip, and then in the end of January, I'm at work in the Basque Country, and then the main boss comes to me and says, "Okay, this person is leaving his position. I thought about you for this position, but this position is a position that I want someone to stay for a while. I know you're not from here, so I would like you to commit for at least 2 years." And then I said, "Okay, let me think about it." And the first thing I did was get the phone call to my friends and say, "Guys, are we actually gonna do this world trip or not? Because I want to do it." But then my boss is asking me to stay here for 2 years, and if we are gonna do this world trip, has to be before 2 years. So one or the other one.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if we agreed on that day or we had another video call again another day, but we ended up agreeing that we would do the world trip. That was January or beginning of February, and we agreed that we would start this world trip in October that same year,
Yeah.
because one of them had to get a bonus at work or whatever. The other one had just started a company, and he said, "Yeah, by October should be fine." It wouldn't be fine, but and the other one he was just waiting for this bonus
Hmm.
that comes August, and I see that that's not gonna happen. So I called my friends. Well, I told my boss that I was not gonna stay for 3 years. I think it's just the screen of the.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to be
No,
sure.
it makes sense. Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to have the your laptop.
Yeah, no. In the end, it didn't really make sense.
No.
I was a bit. I wasn't sure about the angle, but I think it's actually okay
But I think the phone is going slowly down, maybe.
with the gravity.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can maybe just turn it or
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know much about those things.
No, but I think it looks fine.
Okay.
I hope. If it falls, then it falls.
It falls, it falls. No, it's not gonna fall. But that would be funny also. Anyway,
You didn't get the bonus.
yeah, let's finish that. Let's get it ready for the next time. So yeah, so those guys said at the end that they were not gonna do the world trip when I had agreed with my boss that I was gonna leave in October.
Yeah.
Because I was not gonna accept this other job, just stay in the position I was, and I told him I was leaving in October. I didn't say a date, I said October. So I ended up leaving on the 30th of October because my friends were not joining for the trip. I didn't have anyone to travel with. I didn't want to travel on my own because I had never done that. I had gone to another country to study and to work, but I had never just traveled on my own. I was kind of scared, I think, of just going somewhere and needing too much time to meet people to enjoy my stay there. Because when I went to study, it was just like that I made friends. When I went to work, it took me a couple of months to get used to the place, meet some people, and start enjoying. So I was thinking I cannot go to every place I go to travel and wait for 2 months to be happy there. I need to travel with someone. Anyway, I'm one of my Mexican friends that I made when I was studying in France. He said he was going to travel east of Europe at the end of that year. So I joined him and we did, I don't remember exactly, but we did like Romania, Macedonia, Ukraine, Poland, something like that. Like this kind of circle around East Europe. And then he flew back to France because he was getting his passport or whatever. And After that, I joined one girl I was seeing in India because she was like she had 2 months vacation,
Yeah.
and she was traveling around Southeast Asia with another of her friends.
Hmm.
So I joined them, and I booked only one way ticket, thinking of, okay, I will be traveling with them for a couple of months, and then when they leave, I stay for 1 week, see how it is traveling on my own. If I like it, I just keep traveling. If I don't, I book a flight ticket and fly back home. Because once you are there, I don't know, I had the feeling that it's different. It would be different just already being there, not taking a plane from home to go for a new place. I don't know. I was feeling safer just
Yeah, yeah.
being there. And that's what I did. The first week without them, or the first week on my own, was so much fun. I was in Laos, in at the north part, and the first day, the first, so I had landed, let's say at night, went to sleep, and then the next morning at the hostel, one girl and one guy just during breakfast started talking to me. And what are your plans for today? We are going to see this waterfall. Can I join? Yeah, of course. And then I joined them, and we spent like 5 days all the time together doing just tourism there. There was something that I have never seen in my life: a bowling place
Yeah.
that you could play. You could pay like, let's say, $5, and you had one game of bowling, and then one whiskey bottle with some mixers for $5. Obviously, we got drunk. And I don't know, it was just the first week was so much fun
Hmm.
that I obviously decided to keep on traveling on my own. And that was, wow, one of the best experiences of my life, because I love traveling alone in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty different traveling alone in other places, but I don't know, it was just so much fun. Obviously, there's times that you would like to have someone traveling with you,
Yeah.
but most of the time, if you want to be with someone, you just
There's
meet
someone there.
someone at the hostel. And it's, I don't know, I just felt it, so everything was so natural,
Yeah.
so easy, meeting people from everywhere, and just enjoying, having fun, discovering this part of the world that I didn't know. Bless you.
Thank you.
I don't know, I really really enjoyed it. It was, I didn't know how long I was going to travel for, and honestly, I was 2 months with the girls, and then 4 more months on my own, and I flew back to Europe because my cousin was getting married. But otherwise, I would have stayed longer. I don't know how much longer, but for sure, a couple of months more, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. I was meeting people when before that. I barely met people traveling alone,
Hmm.
and then when you are traveling alone, you just keep meeting people that is traveling alone, and people that has been traveling for 1 year. Like, wow, is that possible? People really do that? I didn't know by then. Really, I didn't know by then. And you meet so many people. Obviously, it's maybe 0.001% of the population that does it. Now, probably more than that. But
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. It's not like in percentage of the population, is a small part of the population, I guess, that is traveling alone.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's what I mean. Like, I don't even know if it's that many people.
yeah, I don't know. But when you are traveling alone, you realize that there's actually a lot of people, because obviously 0.001% of the population is a lot of people.
Millions of people.
And I don't know, I just can say good things about it. It was so much fun. Southeast Asia is crazy, but it's beautiful.
Mhm.
It's, I don't know, it was a great experience. Yeah, I felt it I felt 6 months it was short.
And sorry, which countries did you pass through?
So I started with the girls. I did Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, all by land, and then when they left, I took a plane from Vietnam to Laos, and then I did again all by land. Laos, Thailand, Malaysia. I went to Borneo, Malaysia, and then Indonesia. I took a plane. Well, Borneo as well. Indonesia, and then flew back to Europe. That was such a great time, and I did for the first time hitchhiking.
Mm-hmm.
What experience! What experience!
You hitchhiked in Southeast Asia
For the first time.
Wow.
I tried once when I was in Mexico with one of my friends,
Yeah.
but we didn't manage to. No one picked us up. We were two guys, and two cars stopped, but they had only one free spot,
Yeah.
and we didn't want to split. So we ended up just going back to the bus station and catching a bus. And then in Asia, I met a couple of guys that were traveling alone and hitchhiking.
Mm-hmm. All around Southeast Asia.
In Asia, yeah.
Wow.
And then I remember I was in Laos. I was in the very, very south of Laos, the border between Laos and Cambodia. And I was in it's called 1,000 Islands or 4,000 Islands. Oh, I don't remember. I think 1,000 Islands. And I had to take a boat, obviously, from the island to the mainland.
Yeah.
And then from the mainland to the wherever I wanted to go, the bus was taking like I had to wait for 2 hours. And I said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna hitchhike." So I decided that I was gonna hitchhike for the first time, and I started walking, and then I see something on the side of the road. I get close. There's two guys. I think they were from Denmark, if I'm not wrong. They were 18. They were just kids, but they were this size. And they were on the side of the road like this, resting, like, oh no, we've been waiting here for half an hour. We are so tired. But you are hitchhiking, yeah? Yeah. Do you mind if I join you? Yeah, no problem. So I just joined them. And after a while, car stops. Crazy. One guy that he had one eye that he couldn't see with that eye, and he was the driver. And then there was one co-pilot, one guy sitting at the back, and the three of us. So we were one extra person with this guy that couldn't see with one eye, and he was driving so fast in Laos that the roads are shit, full of holes.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic is Southeast Asia. He was driving so fast, and then at some point, one of the guys says to the guy, he touches the guy, like, and the guy couldn't speak much English.
Yeah.
So then the guy translated, like, talked to me and said, I think he was falling asleep. Like, fuck. With one eye, driving so fast and falling asleep. Couldn't be any worse.
Perfect combination.
My first hitchhiking experience. And then this guy left us somewhere. We hitchhiked again, and then we ended up sitting at the back of a 3 wheels bicycle.
Like a tuk-tuk?
Like a tuk-tuk, but it wasn't a tuk-tuk. It was something like to transport something.
Okay.
Some weird bicycle. Okay, that was my second thing where I was hitchhiking with these two guys. We ended up arriving in the city, and then I went to a hostel. They went to another one. I didn't see those guys in my life ever again. But with them, I did my first hitchhiking experience, and from there, I hitchhiked all the way to Malaysia.
Wow.
Not actually to Malaysia, because I ended up going to an island, a Thai island, and then from that island I went to Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
But all this hitchhiking, and then in Malaysia I hitchhiked quite a lot. I have other stories of hitchhiking also in Malaysia, but too many stories. And yeah, and then I kept Borneo, Indonesia, and back home.
Yeah, man, big trip.
Big trip, 6 months, amazing. But I have the feeling that if I would do it now, it wouldn't be the same thing.
No, of course, because I mean, it's never going to be the same the second time around. That's because the people obviously have to do with it. Times change. I mean, times change with people as well, though. I think Southeast Asia has it's been booming. It's been on the rise. People want to go and travel in Southeast Asia. Still more than, I don't know. I haven't been in years, but people want to go and visit. And of course, we're at different ages, different points in life. We don't see things the same way anymore. So of course, you're not going to have the same experience. Maybe it's going to be better. Maybe it's going to be worse. Maybe it's just going to be different. You know.
That's for sure. Different for sure, because I think mainly what you said, like I'm not in the same point of my life. I'm not the same age, and that thing that will make a big difference. This together with I have the feeling that now people go to a hostel and then they get more stuck in their phones that actually talking to other people.
Yeah, man.
And that was crazy because when I was there, we had WhatsApp already, and I was on my phone for a bit. But even myself, like I feel different now when I go to a hostel. I also think that I stay more on my phone than what I was doing by then. By then was I was going to a hostel, answering a couple of messages on my phone, and then I was just socializing in the hostel. And I don't do it that way, but I don't think most of the people is doing it that way anymore. So I just think I went on the perfect time to for that trip.
Yeah, for sure. And so this was
2018.
2018. Yeah. Okay. Well, we will leave your story there at 2018.
Well, so many interesting stories. But yeah, let's do that because we're 2024.
6 years later.
6 years later.
And 2018 was also the year that I started my traveling.
You see?
Yeah.
But we didn't cross paths by then, no?
No. I was only in Europe at that point. Just 2 months around Europe. But
then maybe in Germany or in Spain. Yeah?
Maybe. For summer of 2018.
Where were you in?
July. We started in Portugal. We were there for like 2 weeks, and then end of June, and then July we were in Madrid for like 2 weeks. Barcelona only for one night.
Oh.
And only Madrid and Barcelona, so probably not.
Well, maybe that night I was in Barcelona as well.
There it could be. It could be. Okay, so before I throw you the 3 questions, do you want to throw a question at me?
No, I just want to say that what we were talking about, I'm so happy that you made an episode where you talk about yourself. That I haven't listened to it yet, but I will. We need to find out that we didn't do if I can listen to your podcast on Spotify because I didn't manage. But for sure, at least send me yours on the YouTube link because I want to watch it. And yeah, thank you. Well, let's go for the questions first.
So the first question is from my previous guest. If you could choose anyone in history up until now, dead or alive, to have dinner with, who would it be? And why?
Well, I have to say that I never liked history. Okay. So I don't think I would pick up someone that is like someone important in the human history because it's nothing that have ever appealed me so much. So I would probably, I don't know, choose someone that was in my life but is not anymore. Like, for example, I'm thinking of one of the guy who was my best friend when we were kids. He, until we were, I don't know, 9 maybe, we were best friends, but then he moved to Madrid. His parents moved to Madrid. And then when he was in 16, he died on a traffic accident. So I just would love to, I don't know, just have dinner with him maybe, and he can explain me how is life after life.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
And sad.
And what question would you like to ask our next guest?
That's a difficult one. That's a difficult one. But mm, um, I don't know. Maybe yeah, if he could choose to I don't know how to say this, like to have been born in a country different than his own country,
Yeah.
which country would that be and why?
Okay. Very interesting. And finally, would you like to share a message in your own language?
Um, yes, um, tornaré al podcast per continuar la meva història, no s'acaba aquí.
And what does that mean? And what does it mean to you?
Just I'm saying that I'll be back to this podcast because I haven't finished my story. So I'll be back, and then maybe I can give you another last sentence.
Then you have no excuse, eh?
Then I have no excuse.
Well, this is gonna be fun to edit.
I know. Good luck.
No, but it's been so much fun. Thank you so much for visiting me, and even before we started this, we've been talking for 3 hours, and
I
now
know.
we're talking for another 3 hours now, something like that. And time just goes by so fast. We've known each other for a year and a half, maybe spent less than 1 month in person together, but it feels like I've known you for years and years and years. And again, even this year and a half that we haven't seen each other, it's like nothing's changed. It's always a pleasure, and thank you so much for being part of this special live recorded first episode. So thank you for everything, man.
Well, I have to thank you so much as well for being part of a podcast. Is a experience for me. You know that I like trying always new experiences, and this is the first time. So I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that you thought of me. And as you said, we can just keep talking and talking and talking. Now it's a bit different because it's just basically me talking, and I like our conversations because we have pretty deep conversations always, always, and we share our opinions, and it's more like both ways conversations. But yeah, it's just man, thank you so much. A pleasure to meet you to see you after so long.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know when it's gonna be the next, but we have to do it.
Thanks, man. Hi, everyone. So, thank you for listening and watching episode 7 of Backpacks and Stories with Marc. So, I just wanted to address that I did have some difficulties recording. It was my first time recording in person. It was a lot of fun, but as you could see, with one part with the camera angle fell off a bit, and there were a few rough edits there where the recording stopped at certain points. So it was a lot of fun. It's been a learning experience, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope that we have some more in-person podcasts soon. Thank you. Have a lovely weekend.